I'd like to start off with a poem by Taylor Wyman, representing the red, white, and blue. The colors of our flag stand out proud and true. The white stars on the blue background with red and white stripes remind me of these veterans who risked their lives, just so the people of the U.S. could all live in peace and be free. These are the heroes that represent you and me. They stood up strongly, united as one. They kept up the fighting until they were done. And though some have fallen and lost their lives in war, we pray for each of them, and now that their souls live on forevermore above in God's hands. They watch over our nation. They give us strength to triumph over others with strong anticipation. So every year when this day comes by, think of all the veterans just while fighting had to die. Remember that they were people with fire and passion embedded inside. They died for this country. So remember and honor them with pride. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Buchanan, Representative Boyd, Mayor Grover Bryant, commissioners, and other distinguished guests. I'm Don Courtney, Chairman of the Manatee County Veterans Council, and I welcome you to our Veterans Day service and parade. Besides the list of organizations I put on the back of the program, which has helped us in every way imaginable, I want to thank Jeff Seeger and Jimmy from the Parks Department and Bob Green from the Veterans Council for the things they do behind the scenes, lining up the parades, getting the set up, getting the chairs set up, a lot of things that we just don't realize that they do for us. And I thank them very much for their help. Please rise for the colors and the prayer. Present the colors. Our invocation will be by our chaplain, Almeida Sheffield.
Let us pray. Today we are here to honor those who served our country and given their lives so that we may stand here and still live in freedom. We need to be constantly reminded of our gift of freedom and all those who gave, all to make sure future generations continue to know life in a free, democratic society. Remembering those who have passed is only half of the task that is before us today. We must also carry their love, honor, and duty forward to future generations that will pass. Our children must know who they were, what they did, and why they did it. To do anything less will be a disservice to their sacrifice and their memories. Those that are gone created a clear pathway for us to continue on. We must never waver from the path of freedom and democracy. Take their memories, take their dreams, and walk forward, shouldering the cause of freedom. Carry it high and proud. They did, and now we must walk forward for them and for our children. Amen.
The national anthem will be sung by the four keys.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts hearts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, land of the free, and the home of the brave.
Thank you very much. It's the first time I've heard that done by a barbershop quartet. Now I'll lead the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dismiss the colors. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated. Mr. Lee Washington, our Senior Veteran Service Officer, will read the county's proclamation.
Thank you, Don. Good morning and happy Veterans Day to all of you. When I officially accepted this proclamation last week from the Board of County Commissioners, I did so on behalf of all the veterans of Manatee County. But then it hit me that I didn't get the opportunity to actually meet each and every one of you. So I encourage you to all stop by my office and visit myself, John Weldon, and Bernie Cheeseman, the other service officers in our county services, so that we can instruct you and educate you and just speak with you on all the benefits that the VA has to offer, the state of Florida, and Manatee County. With that being said, I'd like to read the proclamation. Proclamation, Board of County Commissioners, Manatee County, Florida. Whereas the Congress of the United States of America has declared November 11th of each year be set aside as a public holiday to honor Americans' veterans. And whereas the veterans of Manatee County gave their all through sacrifice and service to our country and its fundamental and cherished rights of freedom and democracy. And whereas the citizens of Manatee County express their support of the men and women of the Army, Navy, Air Force and Marine Corps, and Coast Guard, who at this moment are serving around the world and represent resolute dedication to protecting our freedoms. And whereas it is proper to honor those veterans who have served with unselfish love of God, country, to preserve the great land, and whereas the citizens of Manatee County wish to express their lasting gratitude and admiration to our veterans, now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Manatee County, Florida, that November 11, 2013 shall be known, designated, and set aside as Veterans Day in Manatee County, Florida. And further that, with the tradition of 11 a.m. Veterans Day services at Sutton Park in the city of Palmetto, the period of November 4th through November 11th, 2013, shall be known as a time to support our troops and veterans in Manatee County. And further, that the Board of County Commissioners calls upon all citizens, schools, businesses, clubs, and news media to pay tribute to our troops and veterans by displaying the flag of the United States of America, by conducting and attending appropriate ceremonies during such period, and by using the freedom and privilege that so many fought and gave their lives for. Adopted with a quorum present and voting this 5th day of November 2013, Board of County Commissioners, Manatee County, Florida, by Larry Bussell, Chairman.
We're very pleased, height's challenged. We're very pleased to have Mrs. Sandra Buchanan with us here today. Mrs. Buchanan is currently the president of the Buchanan Family Foundation, native of Michigan, and a graduate of Clearly College, where she met her husband, Congressman Vern Buchanan. She and the congressman have been married for 37 years. She and Vern have 2 sons, James and Matt. They live on Longboat Key. Mrs. Buchanan.
Thank you so much. It is a true joy for me to be here today, and honor to pay tribute to all the brave men and women who have served proudly in the armed forces. I'm so thankful for each and every one of them and for each and every one of you that continue to serve. President Calvin Coolidge once said, "The nation which forgets its defenders will be itself forgotten." This nation owes an enormous debt of gratitude to its veterans who have put it all on the line to protect our freedom and way of life. From every walk of life, these heroes have left their families and their friends and have sacrificed comfort, time, and money in service to our country. Many have made the ultimate sacrifice by giving their lives. And according to the Word of God, there is no greater love. Congressman Buchanan is extremely proud to represent a district with one of the highest veterans populations in the country. He continues to fight to ensure that our nation's veterans receive the quality health care and benefits they have earned. Because more needs to be done, we need to eliminate the disability backlog that has too many of our veterans waiting for their benefits. We need to end veteran homelessness that has too many of our veterans living in our streets. And we need to do everything in our power to help our veterans assimilate back into civilian life when they return home. Simply put, these brave men and women deserve all the care and respect that a grateful nation can give. Thank you, and may God bless America.
Representative Jim Boyd was first elected to the Florida House of Representatives in November 2010. He served in his second term as representative for District 71, which includes western portions of Manatee and Sarasota counties. Representative Boyd will serve as chair of the Government Operations Subcommittee, sits on the State Affairs Committee, the Agricultural and Natural Resources Subcommittee, the Joint Committee on Public Council Oversight, and the Select Committee on Gaming. A fourth-generation Floridian, a lifelong resident of Manatee County, Representative Boyd was educated in Manatee County's public school system. He attended Manatee Community College, graduated from Florida State University. Jim is the CEO of Boyd Insurance. Jim lives in Bradenton with his wife Sandy and children Austin and Ashley. Representative Jim Boyd.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of Will Weatherford, the Speaker of the Florida House of Representatives, and my colleagues that make up the membership of the Florida House, thank you for allowing us to be here today. We salute you, we honor you on this very special day. I'm going to be very brief because others have said better things than I will, and to follow me, there's a lot more to come. But as we stand here today and we're thinking of the heroes who join us in this group today, and those who are here only in spirit, we can't help but feel the enormity of what they've encountered. I was just speaking with Congressman Buchanan's wife Sandy about that as we sat down. You know, none of us that didn't have the privilege of serving in the military, as I didn't, just don't fully grasp, I don't think, the enormity of what those of you that did on our behalf, and what those that are there today continue to do on our behalf. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. My colleagues and my friends in the Florida legislature, thank you. This day is honoring you and what you've done for our great country, and may God bless you and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much.
Most of you know our next guest speaker. Mayor Shirley Grover Bryant. She's driving force for this town and for us, being able to hold our services here in Palmetto. Mayor Grover Bryant.
I'm a little height challenged myself. I'd like to say welcome, one and all, as we honor our veterans and express our appreciation for all they have done. Were it not for the sacrifices of our veterans, we certainly would not be able to continue to gather as we have today. November 11th was first declared as Armistice Day by President Woodrow Wilson in 1919 to commemorate the one-year anniversary of the cessation of hostilities in World War I. President Wilson's proclamation of Armistice stated, "To us in America, the reflections of Armistice Day will be filled with solemn pride in the heroism of those who died in the country's service, and with gratitude for the victory, both because of the thing from which it has freed us and because of the opportunity it has given America to show her sympathy with peace and justice in the councils of the nations." Sadly, in this day and age, it is considered fashionable and easy for news media and the public to criticize and admonish our military. We must remember that but for the actions of our veterans, these talking heads would not be free to criticize our military or speak their opinions so openly. Our liberties were not free and will never be free, but must be continually paid for by the blood and sweat of men and women who toil endlessly here and abroad in the name of the United States of America to ensure that we are free, we are safe and free here at home. From President Wilson's proclamation in 1919 to Congress declaring November 11th a national holiday in 1938 and later renaming it Veterans Day in 1954, we have focused on this day alone to remember our veterans and their sacrifice. However, we must remember their sacrifice every day and ensure that our words and our deeds reflect our recognition of the price some have paid for our liberty. In the words of President John F. Kennedy, as we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. May God bless each of you here today, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Our honored speaker today is Colonel Lee Kitchen. He's chairman of the Sarasota National Cemetery Advisory Committee. For 10 years, he was a veteran service officer with the Veterans of Foreign Wars at the State Service Office, the Veterans Affairs Regional Office in St. Petersburg. Prior to assuming that position, he was a veteran service officer for Sarasota County. Additionally, he was a legislative director for Florida's Veterans of Foreign Wars and chairman of the VFW National Legislative Committee. He retired from the United States Army in 1997 after 27 years of service as an armor officer. He served in various command and staff positions in the United States and overseas. His military decorations include the Legion of Merit, 1 oak leaf cluster, the Meritorious Service Medal with 2 oak leaf clusters, the Army Commendation Medal with 2 oak leaf clusters, the Army Achievement Medal and the Korean Defense Service Medal. He also wears the Army Staff Identification Badge, the Army Superior Unit Award, the Republic of Korea Presidential Unit Citation. He is a Distinguished Knight of the Order of St. George for his contributions to mounted warfare. He is recognized by the Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 3233 as its Man of the Year, Elks Lodge 2495 as its Citizens of the Year, the Bradenton Sarasota chapter of the Military Order of the World Wars with the Silver Patrick Henry Medallion for patriotic service, and by the Sarasota County Veterans Commission as his Veteran of the Year. He holds a Bachelor of Arts from the University of Massachusetts at Elmhurst and Master of Arts degree from Pacific Lutheran University and Chapman University. In addition to his civilian education, Colonel Kitchen is a graduate of the Army's Command and General Staff College at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, the Air War College, Maxwell Air Force Base, Alabama. He and his wife, Carol, reside in Sarasota, Florida. Colonel Kitchen.
Thank you, Don. Well, I'll tell you what, it must really be Short People's Day around here. Don, I want to thank you and the council for asking me to speak today. I know you already introduced the elected officials, but I want to recognize one elected official, and I know you're going to formally recognize him a little bit later. It's been a pleasure for me since I came to the area to serve with Colonel Larry Bussell on a number of committees. I just want to call him out because it's an honor to share this stage with Colonel Bussell. For those of you who don't know about Larry and what he did about 40 years ago, he did it all. Larry's a recipient of the Silver Star, Legion of Merit, Distinguished Flying Cross, and the Purple Heart. Because of Larry, there are a lot of grunts that are able to bounce their grandchildren on their knee. I want to share some thoughts with you all. First of all, I want to warn you, I have a self-imposed time limit. I asked Don how many minutes I have, and he replied 15 or 20 minutes. I told him, you're lucky if you get half of that. When doing public speaking, I adhere to the 3 Bs. The 3 Bs are as follows: be brief, be brilliant, be gone. It will be a successful speech if I go 2 for 3. The public at large often confuses Memorial Day and Veterans Day. That's an unfortunate thing. When talking about military service, we must remind ourselves that all gave some and some gave all. Memorial Day is that day we remember those who gave all, while today the public gives thanks to all for giving some. Speaking for all of the veterans gathered here today, we accept your thanks. I would like the veterans in the audience to stand. Okay, I know you're awake now. That's good. That's a good start. Veterans, with the exception of the World War II veterans, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, please give the veterans of World War II a special thanks for their service and sacrifice 70 years ago. America owes these men and women a debt which we can never repay. For 20 or more years, the men and women who lived during the World War II era have been popularly known as the greatest generation. They earned that appellation. However, the tagline, greatest generation, is not the sole province of the veterans who fought in World War II or those who supported them on the home front. If you look around you, it is readily apparent there is more than one greatest generation. We have the Korean War vets, the Vietnam veterans, the men and women who served in the small expeditions like Panama, Grenada, those men and women that fought valiantly in Desert Storm and Desert Shield, and of course, those men and women that have fought in the global war on terrorism for better than 10 years in Iraq and in Afghanistan. So there is more than one greatest generation. In each and every way, regardless of birth date, anyone willing to put his or her chest between this great country and an enemy bullet represents the absolute best of their generation. Thank you. At each defining moment in our history, we needed a greatest generation, willing to defend our way of life. In part, this country's strength is the result of a group of young men and women who willingly shoulder the burden of freedom. Often, those who step forward are part of a small, untested group of young men and women who are hampered by dwindling budgets and dumb rules of engagement. Before every war fought by this nation, there are pressures from a president and a Congress to cut the size of our armed forces. They cut weapons, they cut ammunition, they cut training time. From my personal perspective, after Vietnam and the fall of the Berlin Wall, the military was cut to the bone. history once again is repeating itself. It is a sad commentary when Ray Ordonero, the Chief of Staff of the United States Army, reported that his Army has only 2 combat-ready brigades in the United States. One common denominator for each era, that in spite of hard times, there are always a small group of men and women who stay in the military. Those soldiers, Marines, sailors, and airmen find themselves doing more with less, and ultimately doing everything with nothing. Those who stayed understood that service to country is often an unappreciated higher calling. Each of us who stayed had our own reasons to remain in uniform. Some of us stayed for the pay, some stayed for the adventure, some stayed because of an active sense of duty, some stayed because of an unabated, that's a hard one, an unabated faith in God and country. Some stayed for a combination of all these reasons. Regardless of why we stayed, we knew there would come a time that we would be needed. Veterans stood shoulder to shoulder in 1775 on the Green in Lexington. We froze at Valley Forge, stood at New Orleans, and assaulted Chapultepec. We bled at Antietam's Bloody Lane and held the flank at Little Round Top. We withstood the attack on Pearl Harbor and turned the tide during the Battle of Midway. We flew bombing missions over Berlin and blunted the German counteroffensive in the Battle of the Bulge. We island hopped in the Pacific. We hid the Pusan perimeter and later broke out from the Chosin Reservoir. We weathered the siege at Quezon, fought in Hue, and beat back a determined foe during Tet. We liberated Kuwait, stood at freedom's frontiers along the Iron Curtain and the demilitarized zone. We toppled Saddam, captured and killed bin Laden, and stood toe-to-toe with the Taliban. Some suffered unmentionable deprivations of war. Some suffered in years and years of captivity as prisoners of war. Through it all, we just wanted to be known as ordinary people who responded in extraordinary ways in extremely perilous times. Our touchstones are duty, honor, and country. Duty is what we did, honor is how we did it, and for country is why we did it. For many of us, the guns have been silent for a long time. While our greatest generation is still fighting in places with names we can't pronounce. They are the newest, greatest generation. Regardless of when and where we served, we have been changed forever by the conditions and circumstances of our service. Some changes are visible, other changes are invisible. There are no discounts when paying for freedom. You can thank us for our service, but never consider us victims. For 40 years, only volunteers served in the armed forces. My friends, willing volunteers are never victims. We are not victims, we are victors. By enlisting or accepting a commission, we entered into a contract to defend America and its values. We understood that to fulfill the conditions of that contract, all of us would give some, and some of us would give all. We met the conditions of that contract. Now that we are home, whether for just 15 days or 70 years, we asked for some timely justice. We went where we were told without delay. When called, we never said, "We'll get back to you." We upheld our end of the bargain, but we are still dealing with an unresponsive bureaucracy called the Department of Veterans Affairs. It is absolutely unconscionable that there are now 770,000 veterans who are still waiting on VA to adjudicate a claim for disability compensation or a claim for survivor's benefits. It seems that it's okay for VA to say, "We'll get back to you." Veterans with pending appeals are waiting 3 to 5 years for their decision. Failure to address the needs of those who carried the battle and the needs of their families is nothing short of a breach of faith. The legal profession states that justice delayed is justice denied. How long must we we deny justice. It seems the D.C. in Washington, D.C. stands for doesn't care. It is reprehensible that partisanship has made service members, veterans, family members pawns. Don't tell us our disability compensation checks, retire pay, and medical care will be delayed because of a government shutdown. Don't thank us for our service with empty platitudes, then close our monuments and memorials. We built those monuments. The government only gave us that ground. Our service, sacrifice, and in some cases blood, made those places sacred ground. A grateful nation should be offended when a veteran or a surviving spouse must wait more than a year for the decisions that will affect them for the rest of their lives. A grateful nation should never say that military health care costs the government too much money. A grateful nation should never withhold a portion of a military retiree's pay because he's receiving disability compensation for wounds and illnesses caused as a result of service. A grateful nation should never ignore the plight of its homeless veterans. A grateful nation should never stand for the fact that unemployment among veterans is twice of that of the general population. A grateful nation should never accept the fact that today's armed forces are not combat ready. Every defeat that we suffered at the beginning of a conflict, whether it be Pearl Harbor, Task Force Smith in Korea, and the 9/11 attacks, were the result of a so-called grateful nation cutting the military to the bone. This country cannot afford that type of gratitude. Now, to my fellow veterans, service doesn't end with retirement orders or a DD Form 214. Our communities, especially these communities here in Manatee County, they came up and supported us. In return, they need our leadership skills, dedication, and talents. It is time to reply to those who served us when we left our families behind. The opportunities to serve are endless. Get involved with Scouting, the Goodwill Industries, Habitat for Humanity, Boys and Girls Clubs, Meals on Wheels, youth sports, to name a few. These organizations and veterans share the same values of service and selfless sacrifice. They need our talents. They need our energy. It's been an honor to be with you today. It was an honor to serve with you. I'm sure that all who served would agree with me that the greatest honor is knowing that we served this country. May God bless America and her veterans.
Thank you very much, Lee. We appreciated your words. Our Grand Marshal today is Alan Angel, United States Navy retired. He's in the Navy from 1970 to 1992. Chief Electronics Mate, Senior Chief Gas Turbine Tech, Surface Warfare Officer School, Senior Engineering Instructor for FFG 7 class ships. Commander, Senior Enlisted Advisor. He's been at San Diego, Charleston, New London, LA, Medina, Italy, Norfolk, Long Beach, Great Lakes, Pascagoula, Philadelphia, Seattle, Bath, New Orleans, and Mayport. He served on a sub-tender, 2 guided missile destroyers, amphibious assault carriers, 2 guided missile frigates. He's authorized to wear the following decorations: Enlisted Surface Warfare Specialist pin, Good Conduct Medal awarded 5 times, National Defense Service Medal, Humanitarian Service Medal, Sea Service Deployment Ribbon. After retiring from the Navy, he started work at Tropicana in March of 1993 as an EI tech in the cogeneration plant, supplying the manufacturing plant with steam and electricity. This was a natural fit as most of the equipment at the cogen is used in a similar way aboard Navy ships. He advanced to the senior board operation position in 1997. responsible for the safe and efficient operation of the Cogen plant. He is currently the senior control room operator at Cogen and thoroughly enjoys his job. He and his wife have been together for the past 43 years. He has 2 grown sons, enjoys traveling, NASCAR racing, and watches the Rays game. Please welcome our honoree.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I've got to put my eyeballs on. And also all you military veterans out there, thank you for attending our today's Veterans Day Parade and showing your support for our past and present men and women in uniform. Veterans Day, what does it mean to me? It always brings back memories of my dad, who served during World War I as a sergeant in France, and told me stories of him repairing railroad bridges with captured German POWs. My father-in-law, who served in France during World War II, was wounded when his position got overran during a heated battle, and after repelling the attack, got lost while being transported back to the first aid station. He was awarded the Purple Heart for wounds received during that action. I'm so glad he survived, as I wouldn't now be married to the woman that I've been with for the past 43 years, my wife Patricia, in the back there. I've also had an uncle who joined the Navy during the later stages of World War II, witnessed kamikaze attacks, and again enlisted during the Korean conflict. Another uncle who served a hitch in the Navy, just 4 years, but it all counts. And went to many ports of call and always brought me something home when he returned from those ports of call on leave. Then came my time, the late 60s, early 70s, Vietnam, kids I grew up with. Some enlisted like me, others were drafted, others were never called upon to serve their country. I am proud to have served my country for 22 years, and am proud to be called a veteran. I would like to thank Tropicana and the Valor Employee Resource Group of Tropicana for being a sponsor of today's parade, which I am honored to be a part of. The Valor Group of Tropicana and other veteran groups proudly support various ongoing activities related to veteran, reservist, and active duty personnel. They need all the support we can give them. I would also like to thank all the wives, husbands, families, and significant others that endure separation when loved ones serve our country away from this great nation. Enjoy the rest of today's activities, and don't forget, hire a vet.
Thank you very much, sir. Robin Fernandez will now sing God Bless America.
Please join me in honoring our veterans today by singing together, God Bless America. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Thank you.
She's one of the tall ones. Our Veteran of the Year is Colonel Larry Bussell. Larry is a native of Manatee County. He's a graduate of Manatee County High School. After high school, he attended the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. After graduation, he was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force. He received his pilot wings in 1958, enjoyed a distinguished career which included service as a fighter pilot, test pilot with over 3,300 flying hours. Mr. Bussell flew 130 combat missions in the F-4D, Phantom II aircraft during the Vietnam War. For his service in Vietnam, he was awarded the Silver Star, Distinguished Flying Cross, 9 Air Medals, Purple Heart, among others. In 1967, he was awarded a Master's of Science degree in Aeronautical Engineering from the U.S. Air Force Institute of Technology. 1970, he graduated from the U.S. Air Force Test Pilot School. Later on, he served in senior command positions in the Air Force, retired from the Air Force as a colonel in 1984. Mr. Bussell previously served on 7 years as mayor of Palmetto. On August 26, 2008, he was elected to the Manatee County Commission and is in his 4th year as a Manatee County Commissioner, this year serving as the chairman. Commissioner Bussell is currently serving for a 3rd consecutive year as chairman of the Port of Manatee. He is chairman of the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council, serves on the Sarasota-Manatee Metropolitan Planning Organization. He also serves as chairman of the Manatee County Public Safety Coordinating Council. He previously served on the American Patriotism Celebration Task Force and the Chamber of Commerce Economic Development Council Advisory Board. He's currently on the board of directors of the South Florida Museum. He's past chair of the Sarasota-Manatee Metropolitan Planning Organization, the Manatee Veterans Council, a past member of the Community Coalition on Homelessness, and Local School Readiness Coalition. He's a graduate of Leadership Florida Class 24, and in 2007 was presented the Edgar H. Price Jr. Humanitarian Award at the Palmetto Youth Center Martin Luther King Jr. banquet. He's married to the former Edie Stevenson, and they have 4 grown children and 2 grandchildren. Please welcome Colonel Larry Bussell. People with glasses are trouble. Congratulations, Larry. Thank you.
Well, I'm very honored and very privileged to receive this award, but I do so under one condition, that I receive this award on behalf of all the veterans of Manatee County. Each of you deserve to be Veteran of the Year. And on that basis, I'm very happy to receive this award. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Our auxiliary member of the year is Dan Suka. Dan has been an outstanding member of the Men's Auxiliary of VFW Post 10141 for many years. He's currently in his 2nd term as auxiliary president. His leadership abilities have not only increased their membership considerably, but he has led the Men's Auxiliary to contribute $7,500 to Post 10141 towards the purchase of their new building. Dan is highly motivational, self-starter, and has worked tirelessly in many capacities. His continued willingness to volunteer has not only been a benefit at the post level, but our community as well. The following is a partial list of the projects that Dan is involved with. Food preparation and cooking for the membership. Helps with cleaning and maintaining the post home. Valued member of the Post Honor Guard. Aids in the distribution of Buddy Poppies. This program brings in several $1,000s a year, and in turn is used to aid veterans and their families within Manatee County. Helps other posts and their auxiliaries when called upon. Volunteered most recently to help construct a wheelchair ramp for a Manatee County veteran. Has the past 4 years worked with Manatee County law enforcement personnel on their memorial service downtown. He's helped the Korean War Veterans Association with the maintenance of their weapons. I'd be remiss if I failed to mention the numerous times he has taken veterans to Bay Pines or to our local clinic for appointments. Dan has proven himself countless times in his dedication and service to the veterans of Manatee County. Please welcome Dan Suka. You'd be in trouble. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Thank you.
I'm definitely going to keep it brief. Thank you very much, because it's not about, I'm just the auxiliary, but I can't believe the people that I'm standing with here today. So again, thanks to the veterans. It's your day. I do it, my work, to honor both of my parents, because they both served during the World War II era, as well as Korea. So I, motivated by them, by serving everybody here, the ones that are serving, and the ones that will probably serve in the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Robin Fernandez will now sing America the Beautiful.
Please join once again in singing America. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesties, above the fruited plains. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Thank you very much. Please remain standing for our benediction, but before that, I have a couple of announcements I'd like to make. VFW Post 2488 and American Legion Post 24 are holding cookouts today, along with 10141. 2488 is right behind you, the red building. You don't have to be a member to enjoy it. The AMVETS 301 in Ellington will have a flag retirement ceremony at 1 p.m. If you have a flag at home that's seen better days, please bring it by the post, and they'll put it, retire it properly. A benediction of our chaplain.
We remember today all those who have come before us and given the greatest gift to our democratic nation, their lives. Their duty, their honor, and their lives are precious gifts that must be given to the future of our country and of our families. The duty of our veterans, past and present, is the fiber of the word freedom, and is stronger by our recognition of service and sacrifice. We honor that service and sacrifice today and should carry it forward for our children to honor. Freedom and democracy are the result of all most honorable this country has produced. Today, we stand to remember the most honorable amongst us, and we must continue to carry the burden of their sacrifice, lest we lose sight of what true freedom is. Today is for remembering, stand in honor of them, walk in their path of duty. Remember the cost and hold it in your heart, the cause of freedom. We remember today our veterans. Amen.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody for being here today and for your support, and I hope you enjoyed the parade and service, and this concludes our service. Thank you.